Within this chapter, we'll talk about environmental mitigation. And this was written by my colleague Magnus Johansson, and I am Ronald Arvidsson. We're both employed at the Geological Survey of Sweden. To begin with, this was part of a case study within the CIRAN project to showcase how one might mitigate impact upon nature and surroundings by making compensation measures. What we see here on the right is the industrial area of the cement production facility, which builds upon limestone. So limestone must be extracted in order to be transformed into cement. As a background, limestone mainly contains calcium carbonate and is a common industrial mineral with many applications and alkaline properties. The society needs a large amount of cement for construction, and buildings, infrastructure, communication, it is necessary in, for example, bridges also, and it must be of such a quality that integrity is safe. So it's often actually reinforced with steel also in order to withstand vibrations, earthquakes, climate. We don't want the buildings and the structures to crumble after being built for any reason. The limestone bedrock, which we're looking for, it has a limited distribution in Sweden. It's actually not common. Industry demands on quality, that it has specific chemical and physical properties, and the size of the deposit, that is the available volume tonnages for extraction, narrows the selection quite a lot. So therefore, because it's limited also, there is also very specific habitats of flora and fauna that are depending on the calcareous soil, and therefore it often contains protected species and become protected areas of nature. The limestone bedrock often has implication for hydrological setting also. That is the groundwater availability, which in turn creates special habitats and challenges when it comes to mining operations. So here on the right, we see a map where we see some of the available assets of limestone. The deposit here, which we're looking at, is situated in the city of Skövde in south-central Sweden. It's a significant limestone deposit. It has a quality suitable for cement production. This is not so common in Sweden. It has a short distance to consumer, and that means there is less release of carbon dioxide in the transport, but also it becomes cheaper to build and will be a cheaper asset for the consumer. It has been a long-term industrial operation at the site, strategic location on the Swedish mainland. But it's also the quarry is located next to protected nature and the town of Skövde with about 40,000 inhabitants. So it has dual challenges from protected areas and the city. The production is about 2,000 tons of cement per day. It's the second smallest cement producing plant in Sweden, but it is of importance for Swedish consumption. The following factors are important to control of the surrounding and working environment. That is noise, because of the vicinity to people, but also to species that are sensitive to noise, vibrations, from the operation and from the blasting. Dust and the influence on the local hydrology, groundwater, and watersheds like creeks. So therefore, there are removal of sites and objects due to the extraction process. For example, that natural habitats and biotopes are affected. There are also cultural and historic heritage objects, for example, stone walls from historical farming. There is a regional hiking path. There is a small creek, Holmdammsbäcken, of importance also. And in this, because it's a sensitive area, it contains nature that's not been extremely impacted by modern use. So therefore, there are old tree trunks that support the whole habitats. There is also mature trees and woodlands. So mitigation of noise then. A number of aspects are important in order in the mining construction and to minimize noise to acceptable levels. So therefore, before the operation, one model the whole operation in the computer to see how the noise is actually traveling and what the strength of the noise is. One needs to schedule soil stripping, drilling and blasting operations in time of the day, the schedules of loading and hauling operations of rock material from the quarry, and also depending on topography, use of noise protection embankments for noise quarry operations, so that the nearby buildings are not affected too severely. There is also crushing and the milling equipment that is being encased to minimize the surrounding noise, and also that the transports they're scheduled at the right time of the day. And there is a regular control, measurement and monitoring program to see that the noise levels are kept within acceptable limits and what the permit allows. And what we can conclude also is that the drilling and blasting, they are the largest sources for noise in the cement factory. And then dust, which is always a concern. There are strict levels here that must be kept. And there are several methods being employed. And connect both to the surrounding environment as well as health and safety, and also the impact on the surrounding town. So we need reasonable dust control measures during summertime and frost-free winter conditions. So therefore, there is sprinkling of blasted rock prior to loading and hauling. That is, wet rock does not dust. And of the rock that when it comes from the primary crusher prior to its transport to stockpile. Sprinkling of quarry transport roads if necessary. Quarry internal runoff water is collected and reused also. Quarry workflow shall consider and adapt to current wind situations to avoid unnecessary dusting. So wet water suppression is necessary for dust control. Water binds dust particles. Then the vibration, mitigation vibration. The blasting will transform seismic waves to the surroundings and make them shake. So therefore, it's how the blasting is being done is methodologically is of high importance. So therefore, mapping of adjacent buildings, the facades, documentation of existing damage and cracks prior to operations are necessary in order to see if the blasting has any impact on the surroundings. It should not have. So therefore, again, computer modeling of the ground vibration and blast airwave scenarios, the sources and dispersion is necessary. Adapted quarry operation, that is size of the blast, topography, distance, direction, and also how the blasting is being done is of importance. Again, use of protection embankments to damp the impact of sound from the blasting is also a requirement. In order to see that the operations fulfill all of these conditions, it's necessary to log it continuously at selected sites in the surrounding buildings where people are living. Apparently, the airwave impact is often perceived more stronger than the ground wave, but as the airway has little effect on physical objects, it is the wave through the ground that may cause damage if it's too severe. But condition is it should not, so therefore they have to keep the blasting technically as promised. Permit constraint is that ground vibrations are no more than 4 millimeters per second. Maximum vertical speed component vibration oscillation at housing, 6 millimeters per second in the industrial buildings. The airway should have no more pressure than 100 Pascal open air measurements. And then to the mitigation on the hydrology and the groundwater and the creeks. Hydrological and hydrogeological modeling of the groundwater flow and influence on groundwater table level to ensure no unwanted impact occurs from mining. This is essential to do before within the permitting. And practically is that they have relocated the creek that we see here on the right of suitable aquatic biotopes and habitats. And they are also monitoring the development to see that the relocation had positive effect on the habitat. And the monitoring on the groundwater level and the quality in surrounding drinking water wells is also done in order to see that this keeps to necessary levels and quality as before the operation started. And then the runoff water in the quarry is that there are traps to catch unwanted materials, toxic substances like oil and nitrogen before the water is being released into the recipient in the surroundings. Water quality gain is subject to regular sampling and analysis in the monitoring program to see that the solutions work. If not, they need to be fixed. And then what happens with the surroundings? There are identified measures in the EIA, and that's that they relocated the regional hiking path. They have relocated a creek. And there is a remediation plan after closure that will ensure that there is a rich environment and habitat, recreating lost habitats, biotopes, and cultural heritage objects.